The Vibe, the Vibe, the Vibe, the Vibe. The book is out now on Amazon. It's a bestseller. You guys can go and check that out. And it was very simple. Actually, I got both copies. So the first time, when I brought out the book, it was the 6 indicators for business and life, and we revamped that and put it into the Vibe. And what was so great about it is I had a conversation with one of my buddies, one of the top keynote speakers in the world. His name is Paul, and Paul, when I reached out to him, he does fundamism, and we got a chance to talk, and he was just like, have you ever thought about Vibe? And I said, well, it's the second chapter in my book. I said, what are you talking about? He said, you are a vibe. And so as I went down this road over the last couple of years, we've been crafting. And so when I go in to speak to companies, organizations, conferences, then I speak about the vibe. It's not your leadership that matters. It's actually that leadership won't ever work. The culture is irrelevant. Then the systems, honestly, they won't work either if the vibe is off. And what is the vibe? It's the way that people feel when you leave. It's not the energy you bring into the room. And what I found is my whole entire life is wrapped around this, but I think that the coolest thing is my life is wrapped around that because of the friends that I've had. And my mom would emphasize this all the time. She would always talk to me about the friendships that I had, the friendship that I had with my brother, that, it was very important. She was super adamant on this. My dad was that way. Pops was huge on making sure that me and my brother connected. But more than that, they looked at the friends that I had, the Wills of the world, the Andys, the Dales, Alfred, Nate, Dave, my brother Rob, Casey, Hannibal, all these people that were my friends were my chosen family. And the closer and closer that I got to them, it was unbelievable because, what I found is that, membership has its privileges, but relationships will give you access. And when you have relationships in your life and when you have true friendships, that's what my life has completely been built on. Lompoc, California, I talk about that place a lot, the Central Coast, big ups to there. Cabrillo High School, big ups to there. I have some friends from Lompoc, but I'll forgive you for that, from Lompoc High School. But what I found throughout my life, the common denominator was always that if I had triumph in life, if I had tragedy in life, I had friends that were with me right there sitting next to me. If I had crisis or I had calm, I had friends that were right next to me. And so as I went on my walk today, I was looking at this, and I knew Proverbs 18 was coming because I read the corresponding proverb for the corresponding day. If this is your first episode of Inchstones, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. Podcast has 3 different shows on it. One, Inchstones, like this, take about 15, 20 minutes. And, this is something that you can listen to on your walk to kind of fill your soul. But I always want to direct your eyes, just like my mom and pops would. I would ask them a question and they would say, I don't know, but I know someone who does. So all these concepts that I talk about in Inchstones, it all comes from the Word. So it comes from 3,000-year-old wisdom. I can't take credit for it. So if you think that they're cool, I want to direct your eyes right to Him and make sure that happens. But as I was on my walk today, walking little Ziggy, our new little puppy, and if you didn't get a chance to hear Puppy Energy, which is our last episode, 490, episode number 490, I would suggest going back and checking it out. But if you are new to Inchstones, we go through the corresponding proverb for the corresponding day and see how it can apply in today's world, and see if this 3,000-year-old wisdom that's principle-based, not circumstance-based, but principle-based, how we could build these principles and build this foundation so that way, no matter what circumstances happen, whether they're good, bad, indifferent, whatever it is, you'll be able to deal with them. So I want to welcome you. And so we have this show. We also have an interview show where I interview some of the most iconic people in the world, and they give advice to my kids by name, which is amazing. Imagine what it would be like to be 12 years old, Maddox, my son, and to get advice, quarterback advice, from Rick Burkholder, the vice president of sports medicine and performance for the Kansas City Chiefs, who trains Patrick Mahomes on a daily basis. Imagine that. That would be amazing. That's what I wanted to be able to do. So we have a show like that. And then we have one that's called You Have to Meet My Friends, where I go live and then I call people randomly. And, see if I can get them on the podcast and have a conversation with them. And it is unbelievably funny. You get a mixed bag. You never know who you are. And a lot of my friends are shell shocked now, and they won't answer their phone because they think they're going to be on the podcast. So as I went through my walk today, I looked at Proverbs 18 when I got back, and it really listed out, it was talking about friends. And at first I wanted to be like, yeah, I need to call my friends and be like, yo, you need to be like this. And then God was like, nope, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you, and I want you to look at the things that you're deficient in. The people in your life who are amazing friends and who you would call friend, and then I want you to look at the things that are maybe you could work on. And I'm going to give you a list, a blueprint, of exactly what it takes to be a great friend. And so I got to run. Well, I don't have to, but I get to run a commercial. Anyone who sees the commercial, if you're watching on YouTube, it is a commercial of the Vibe Room, which is a live version of this, the podcast where I interview some of the most iconic people. And I also have a musical guest. It's in a speakeasy jazz club. The next one is coming in November. So keep your ears open. We're going to be releasing that. And make sure you check out that, which is the Vibe. You guys can see that. Get the book, read that. We got a new book coming out called Inchstones, which is going to take you on this journey through Proverbs. It's going to be amazing. And so why don't we get this party started?
Nothing more on my mind. I got two shines, so every day I climb. Work in the morning, work in the evening. We's achieving, cause we believing. It's for certain, we put the work in. We ain't stopped just because it's hurting. Right before your eyes, so it's coming to no surprise. The takeover is televised. Over and over and over again. Make no mistake, we continue to win. Defeat never know, cause I will not lose. They wanna mimic my moves, but can't walk in my shoes.
Friends, and more friends. Haven't done this one before, but I'm going to check and see if I can get this young man to come on and talk, because this is, my best friend since fourth grade. And what more fitting, or who more fitting to talk to on this episode that's all about friends.
What's up, man?
What are you doing, buddy?
Chilling. Just doing some laundry.
That's good. Good. You're on the podcast right now. Just want to let you know.
Oh, great.
The reason why I called you, and I've never done this before, but we're doing an episode of Inchstones. But the episode of Inchstones, you read the production notes this morning, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it was about friends, right? And I couldn't do an episode without thinking of you. The last couple of questions, did you see the last couple of questions in it?
Let me go back to it.
Yeah. So for those of you listening, this is my best friend, Will Simmons, unbelievable human, been my best friend since fourth grade. And we literally, when I say best friends, we grew up in the same household, a lot of times stay the night at each other's house for, nights and nights and sometimes weeks on end. Have treated each other like brothers. And when I say that, it's, there's times where there was one blanket and a brother wouldn't give you that blanket. Sometimes a brother would be like, I'm going to make sure that I'm good and you need to, work on on your adversity training. So it's not just the shiny, happy stuff. It's real brothers and going through triumphs, going through tragedies, going through crisis, going through calm in our families. Do you see the last question there, or the two last questions?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you read them out so the listeners could hear it? And then, and then we're going to kind of go backwards, forwards, all those things, but.
Just the questions?
Yeah. Read the first question in the, all the way down towards the end.
Yeah. When you read this list, who comes to mind?
Yeah. So when I heard that, like when I wrote that this morning, like you were top of mind. Like it was like finger snap. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't even a
Right.
question for me. That's why I had to call you and I wanted to discuss this. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So let's start with the first one. The first one, it's verse 1 to 16 of Proverbs. You want to read it out? Or you want me to read it?
Go for it.
Okay, so think of others. It's not always about you. What does that bring to mind, Willie?
The selflessness of my mom.
What examples do you think of?
Of just how she lived her life. And in essence, she was someone who was constantly, giving unto others.
Yeah.
Whether it be a meal, whether it be a ride, whether it be, feeding your farm animals when you're out of town for a weekend. How gracious she was in hosting people or bringing people into our home. The list goes on and on. But yeah, I'll keep it to that.
Well, it was amazing because as I looked at this, right, our lives, you and I, over time, it definitely, I don't know, I can't speak for you. I'm saying for myself is friendship has always been at the center of every single thing. Right. And because if I've experienced something, someone would be like, how'd you get to do that? Well, I had a friend and they were able to do X. Oh, why are you here in this place? Oh, I got a friend and they're doing X. Can you tell them about I can't even remember his name, but your sister met him on the train and he ended up coming to Thanksgiving and then staying with your family.
Oh, yeah. This was, I think, my senior year in college. My sister and I were going back to, taking a train from LA to Santa Barbara to go visit my folks. And we just struck a conversation with someone that was our age that was visiting America from Australia and was doing the youth hostel circuit in Southern California and was telling us these horror stories about, some of the places he had to stay. And we ended up inviting him to my folks' house for Thanksgiving. And he's become a lifelong, or not lifelong, but a family friend to this day. And now we're pushing 50. So he's been a really good friend of my family for quite some time now. And it was just a chance meeting, and my family, he got to experience a Simmons Thanksgiving, which usually includes lots of neighbors and lots of friends and lots of people that we kind of, collected over our lifetimes. And
well, I think it's cool too, because he ended up staying at the house longer than Thanksgiving. I remember it was weeks, if not months.
He actually ended up, we got him to move in and stay in San Diego with my other sister.
Yeah, and this is what I'm talking about as far as friends, right? And so, I love the personification of it, and that's the reason why I wanted to call you. And I've never done this on Inchstones. Like, I've never called someone and combined. You have to meet my friends, where I call you randomly. I think are you on guard now? Because when I call you, you're.
Oh, now I'm questioning if I should even answer. I don't know if I'm talking to you or if I'm going to be on your podcast. Like, I don't know if I could just keep it real and talk to you how I would normally talk to you, or if I have to button it up for your content.
Well, I can speak for everyone out there. No one wants you to button it up. No one wants you to change.
I'm not going to come on here and F-bomb it up not like I normally speak.
Oh, hey, let's move on to number 2, right? Yeah. Do you have the notes in front of you?
Wait. We also didn't mention that guy, our buddy from Australia, wanted to visit Las Vegas, and I called you, and he ended up staying with you out in Vegas.
Yeah, I know. He stayed for. I remember. I can say that it was at least a week that he stayed at the house, and I didn't know him, but for you guys meeting him on the train And then, and then you being like, yo, my buddy. And I was like, how'd you meet him? I met him on the train. He spent, Thanksgiving with us. He's going to come out. Can he stay? He needs a place to stay. Can he stay? And it's not even a question. That's the crazy thing. That's why I was talking that friends are so important. Right. And
Yeah.
so do you have those notes in front of you?
I can pull them back up.
Yeah, pull them back up. Look at number 2, right? So this is Proverbs 18, verse 3, 5, 8, 11, and 12. If any of you out there listening to ever wants the production notes, which most of my friends don't want them, but I send them to them anyway. So they get a PDF of my production notes. My handwriting looks like a doctor, I believe. That's why it's art and it looks creative. But did you bring them up?
Yeah.
If you do want the production notes, hit me in the comments, send a comment to me, whether it be through any of the channels, Spotify, Apple, or YouTube, and make sure that you subscribe on all channels and you put a review. Go to number 2.
Your motives are more important than your actions.
How does that one hit?
It's pretty much, I think it's fairly accurate, this one is interesting
Why is that?
because sometimes you can have good motives, but a negative result. And although, your motives were righteous, maybe the outcome was, detrimental to yourself or someone else.
Wow. I didn't think about it that
And although you may, I was meaning, for this, a positive outcome, it doesn't change the fact that the actual result was negative.
Yeah. And how do you deal with those kind of things? Like in your life, how have you dealt with when someone had the right intentions, right? So what it was talking about in this is a lot of times what we do is we lead with our actions. We lead with, I'm supposed to do the right thing, but they do the right thing without the right heart. And if you do the right thing without the right heart, that's where we get into challenges. Whereas even if you do less of that thing, or maybe you don't do it as grandiose, and you've taught me this through our friendship, it's like you've taught me that it doesn't matter what I do for you. It just matters that I'm your friend.
Yeah.
And I think that part has been massive. Let me look at this number 3, because it says true friendship refreshes and is evergreen. Does that hit you anyway?
I think that is, in my own life, that's pretty accurate. I have had the opportunity to, grow up with my best friends, throughout our lives from the age of 8. And here we are pushing 50.
Yeah.
And if there wasn't some like regenerative quality and the ability to like grow and gain new understanding, then I don't know if we're all friends for this long.
Yeah.
There has to be an evolution. There has to be growth. Respect, understanding. All those aspects need to be present in a relationship and a friendship. And I think collectively as a group, our relationship has continued to grow. Our brotherhood. As we've had to make these transitions. From being, an adolescent to being a teenager.
Yeah.
We're all experiencing this life, and then to being out of high school, pursuing education, entering, the workforce as a young adult, and all the challenges and all the struggle, all those things going on, in our own individual lives, the good, the bad, the ugly. And we've been able to, transitioned into like being parents.
Yeah.
And, we've been able to be a resource for each other. We've been able to be support. We've been able to, be a sounding board, be an ear, I think it's pretty incredible and pretty important. And I think it has a lot to do with our collective group sitting in the position that we're sitting, respectively in our lives.
Yeah. Well, I think it's cool too, because as I look down this list today, and so, I was, God put on my heart just friends. And then when I went on my walk, it was just all about friends. And then it just kept reiterating over and over again. And I had a friend who just had a tragic thing happen. I told you about it, where his son got into, had a traumatic brain injury, and he's still in a coma right now. And I sat with him this morning, and I realized that at the end of all the stuff, like the friends that are with you, whether it be you're the friend for the person or your friends are there for you, that friendship is so valuable. And as it went down the list today in Proverbs 18, I looked at it, and I'm very fortunate because this list basically just described all of you guys. And, at different times in my life. And that true friendship refreshes and is evergreen is in verse 4 and 19. And it's amazing because God wrote it 3,000 years ago, and it still rings true today. I'm going to go on to number. Do you have your notes in front of you? You have number 4?
Yep.
Yeah. What's number 4?
Number 4 is speak life and encourage.
Okay. That's in verse 6, 7, 20, and 21, which means that it's pretty important. And so as I've referred to that, speak life. So it's using someone's name, being very specific. How important is encouragement in people, like for you, in your life? How important has encouragement been, and for you either to speak life to people or for it to be spoken to you?
It's important to, hear encouragement, positivity. Can help you work through challenges and, achieve goals. As for how it manifests itself from a speaking life and encouraging others kind of standpoint, that's just something that kind of comes natural for me. Mm-hmm. So it's not really something I think about. It's just something I do.
Well, it's incredible because I think every step of the way, and I could say it from my standpoint, every step of the way, and whether it be in career or just in friendship or throughout life, you've encouraged me every single time. Like I remember switching up careers, selling the salons, in 2020, and then saying I'm going to go and do a podcast and become a keynote speaker full time, which I was doing for 30 years before, but like doing that full time. And I remember you just saying like, dude, I'm so excited to see this. That kind of stuff means the world. In number 5, I'm going to read it. It's verse number 9. And it says that to be a good friend, you're ready to roll up your sleeves and do the dirty work. And then I put in parentheses, I will meet you under a bridge with a shotgun. And the reason why I said that is because my buddy Craig said that to me. He said, you could call me anytime and I'll meet you under a bridge with a shotgun. Meaning that he was ready to do anything at any time. All I had to do was call. And when you hear that type of thing from somebody, it means the world. Now that was reiterated in verse 9. What does that bring to mind there? Well,
loyalty and commitment to friendship, and having that kind of bond to where you can be counted on. And you can count on others.
Absolutely.
That's a strong statement, but it's just like, when the shit goes down, whatever that shit is, you're going to have a handful of people that are going to have your back regardless. And a lot of people don't have that.
Yeah. Well, I remember I had it. We were playing at Buena Vista. You remember exactly what I'm about to say. We were playing it, and my alligator mouth had overloaded my parakeet butt, and I got to talking mad stuff, and the guy got really mad. He was a lot bigger than me, and then here comes Will, and I mean, it's not like you were that much bigger, like you weren't bigger than me, but your heart at that time, it was so funny. I can remember it like it's yesterday. I'm talking mad stuff. We're doing a thing. And then the guy goes and it's like, he's going to come at me. And you stepped right in and you were like, no, that's not going to happen. And you let him know with a couple of choice words. And he was just like, he was like, red on, on Friday. He was like, you want some of this, old man? No, like I'm out. And I remember that it was hilarious to see, and not hilarious at the time. I mean, I was about to get my butt kicked. But the heart, of that. And I saw that you would meet me under the bridge with shotgun, and I hope to do it. I hope to do it sometime for you at some point. Let's go on to the next one. This one is different because, in number 6, it says grounded in the Lord. And this was one that, when I wrote it this morning, I was like, man, should I write this down? Because I'm not trying to sound judgy in anything. I don't want to do that. But in verse 10, it talked about this, like that a good friend is going to be grounded in the Lord, because when stuff goes down, it's crazy. Like with my buddy, him having the challenge that he did, people wrapped around him in prayer circles. People lifted him up in prayer. People didn't say, I'm going to, just send you vibes. I'm just going to send you energy. They didn't go to, like, at the basis of it, when that stuff and when the worst things happen, then it's amazing, because that's when even the person who maybe doesn't believe still calls on the Lord.
Yeah.
And this was, now the reason why it's so cool to be able to talk to you about it is because it's not like you and I always shared church together, or we didn't sit down and read hymns. That was the furthest thing from, you and I's, upbringing, right?
Yeah.
We weren't. But what does this one mean to you, if anything, when it said like the good friend is grounded in the Lord?
Well, I think that there is tremendous value in having a good friend that is grounded in similar values to yourself. And I know for me, not being a believer in Jesus, but not necessarily being a church attendee or the most well-versed, in scripture. And I cuss a lot, a whole lot.
You're allowed to cuss on all I have to do when I upload it, all I have to do is click, yes, it has explicit lyrics. That's all I have to do, Will. So every person, honestly, like, people love you. They love you on the podcast. They've commented to me. And so you're okay to say whatever you want, man.
Hey, all good. Hey, so, when I read this and I consider it, what it makes me think about is my friendship with you. I feel like, you are very knowledgeable in scripture. I think that you have a really amazing relationship with your faith. And, I come to you for things of a, religious nature, because I don't feel like, I'm the best source of such things. So, yeah, I appreciate it. And I appreciate that you have that kind of relationship.
Thank you. Well, I appreciate it. Let's go to the next one. Read the next one. Because this one, I think, was a big one.
Quick to listen and slow to speak.
And then under it,
waits for cross-examination.
Did that one hit you at all? Like, that bring up anything?
Well, it's just, all these things are things that, either I've practiced in my own life or have been on the receiving end of. So, yeah. And I think that is a measured way to be objective is to listen and, allow people to get their thoughts out, their ideas out, get things off of their chest. And you're not talking over them. You're not interjecting. You're not making any judgments. You're just, taking your time and, being studious and listening to what the other person is saying.
I'm going to read the next one if you're okay. Speak.
Yeah, go for it.
Speak, embody, foster, and protect hope. And that's in verse number 14. And in a friendship, being able to do those things like speaking hope, embodying hope, fostering it, meaning grow it, and then protect it at all costs. Because in verse 14, it talked about, and I want to read this exact verse because this one hit me kind of hard. In verse 14, let me get to it. It says, the human spirit can endure in sickness, but a crushed spirit who can bear?
That's deep.
It brings up my mom in that time, because I think that there was a lot of times in her life, she had a crushed spirit.
Yeah.
And, that part, I mean, she went through sickness at times, things like that, but I think that part was one of the strongest. Let's go to the next one. Exercise discernment. What is, like, some of these words too, like, I didn't grow up with using the word discernment. Did you?
Yeah.
You did?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because you're smart and you went to bookstores. So that's another flex is what it is, Will. So I'm feeling judged a lot right now. You use discernment. How'd you use discernment and what did it mean to you?
In, people I chose to spend my time with, people that I chose to be friends with. And, that was based on, a conversation I had with my mom as a young guy, probably, I don't know, 8 or 9 years old. I knew all the kids around in my neighborhood, and some of them were a little bit shady, and some kids were over, and, when they left, like half of my Star Wars figures were missing. And, I eventually got them back. But, my mom, after that little incident, she's just like, you need to, be more mindful of the people you choose to spend your time with and be around and be friends with. And that always stuck with me. So, yeah, I think I've exercised, discernment in choosing my friends.
Isn't it amazing what Star Wars figures can teach you?
For real.
I don't know that I got any of that, any lessons from my Zybots, buddy.
You learned about force quality, toys.
Yeah, exactly. And judgment from non-judgment from my friends, because you were a Transformer having dude, and you didn't judge me because I had Zybots.
Nope.
So
I just would want you to leave those at home if you're coming over. That's all.
Let's look at number 10. It says honors family and relationships. That's verse 22. The cool thing is all these traits are backed with 3,000-year-old wisdom. I think that's the crazy thing, Will, to me, is as I go through, right? Because the way that generally it'll happen is I'll have something happen in my day. And this is tough because I've tried at times to force it. Like, oh, I'm going to wake up and I'm going to do a message on X. Well, every morning when I wake up, I just really have to, as opposed to trying to force it, I have to let God just speak to me and let me know. And today it was just friends, over and over and over again. And then it was like, I went to church today. I listened to my pastor, and he was saying, like, he was talking about hypocrisy, which you and I have talked about. He said, what's the number one thing that a non-Christian would say about a Christian? And he said, on the count of 3, I want you to all say it. And he said, 1, 2, 3. The whole congregation said, hypocrite. And, and so it was like all these things that God listed out to be a good friend, he listed it out 3,000 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's still true today. And so honors family and relationships, I think that's self-explanatory. In number 11, do you find this true with like valuable friends in your life in number 11? Do you see that one? Verse 23.
Yeah. Yep. Generosity is prevalent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, indeed it is. I'm the only one that collects sports cards, but all my friends have a Wemby and an Otani and, all kinds of other stuff.
And I have actually sitting right behind me, a Barry Sanders rookie. I've got a Warren Moon rookie. Let's see. I've got an Earl Campbell rookie. All of those are because of you.
Yeah.
I honestly hope to be as generous with you as you have been with me.
Yeah, well, it's not, it's not done with intention. It's just, it's done, with, a want to enrich and, and share, cause at the end of the day, do I need, 10 Otani rookies and 10 Wemby rookies when I can make sure that each of my buddies have one? I'm going to go for that every time.
That's amazing, man. It's incredible. You got to read number 12 because this is for me, again, the reason why I wanted to call you today on this episode is because when I looked down this list, it basically was just like, well, let me just run it down real quick. Think of others, not always about yourself. Will. Your motives are more important than your actions. Will. True friendship refreshes and is evergreen. Will. Speak life and encourage. Will. Ready to roll up their sleeves and do the dirty work. I'll meet you under the bridge with a shotgun or at Buena Vista and stand in front of you and a beast who's about to smash your head. Grounded in the Lord. I see you. I mean, you act out your faith. You don't have to tell me that you don't have to quote scripture to me. You live it. You're quick to listen, slow to speak. You speak, embody, foster, and protect hope in my life, and you always have. You exercise discernment. You honor your family and your relationships. Your generosity is prevalent. And then I want you to read this last one.
Walks with you through everything without judgment. Yep. That's a good one.
That's in verse 24.
But,
go ahead.
Yeah. I think that with this one, man, that's part of the assignment. You know what I'm saying? Like, friendship isn't conditional. Friendship isn't something that has, like, you clock in and clock out. At least not in my life or how I approach friendships.
Yeah.
Like, it's 24/7. There's no on or off switch. You don't just get to be friends when things are great, shit's good, you're doing fun shit. No, like, friendship is full service, man. Like, all of it. The good, the bad, the ugly. And so yeah. Yeah, we've all been through it. And I've had the good fortune and the blessing with you and Rob more so than a lot of our crew, in that, like, we literally have been hanging out so long, and for such lengths of time and that we've had, all of these experiences together, successes, tragedies, failures, breakups, all the stuff through all the stages of life up to this point we've been through. The dissolution of your salon, in some locations, the changing of, occupation, later in life, the passing of our moms, you name it, like we've been through it. And to me, that's just part of it. Like, when you sign up to be my friend, motherfucker, I'm going to be there.
I'm glad I signed up, man. As I read through this, I realized that I have a lot to work on to be a better friend. Like for me, that's when I looked at this stuff, I was like, wow, I want to be better in that place. I want to be better in that place. And I think what was the cool thing that God rested on my heart today was like, you don't have to try in any of these things. Just come and be with me, and I will impart all of those things. I'll impart all of those things in you if you'll seek me first. It's kind of almost like, if I wanted to build a building, me looking at the building would be one thing, but me going to the architect, the person who actually built the building, I could probably learn how to build the building
right.
As opposed to trying to figure it out myself. And I think for a lot of times in life with me, I have the tendency to look at a structure or look at something and say, oh, how can I break that down? And I want to have the same components. And it's almost as if God is laughing and just being like, well, why don't you just come to the one who made it in the first place? And it's incredible that he would make friendship so important. I mean, we're talking before there was technology, before there was, social that's supposed to be your friends or, follower, whatever it is. But he was just like, I want you to understand the power of friendship. If you were to look at that last question, right? What area can you work on to be named by someone else as an example of that list? If you look at that personally, on the throughout those, is there any that stick out to you that say like, I want to work on that?
Let me look at them really quick. That's a good question.
While you're looking at them, what I realized was the quick to listen and slow to speak. I've had a couple of experiences in the last week where people have called me for counsel, and it was life-changing, decisions. And literally, I just went to my Rolodex, like my Rolodex in my head of experiences. And I was listening, but I was listening for cues. And I was like, cool. All right. I got the cliff notes. Now I'm going to give you the answer. And then I just tried to machine gun them, right? Like, I got the answer, bro. Just pipe it down. And I got the answer. And at the end, one of my buddies was like, hey, man, when I called you, I really didn't need any advice. I just wanted to kind of brag a little bit. And I was like, if I would have just listened, I could have just pumped him up. I could have encouraged him, spoke life to him, because that's all he wanted. He didn't really want my opinion. And that's where I think that I struggle, is because I literally, I want to solve the problem. I see the problem. I want to solve the problem. And that's where I've been challenged. Anything for you?
Yeah. The grounded in the Lord part. I'd like to be a little less of a heathen sometimes, when it comes to, my faith. Maybe, refamiliarize myself with my Bible that's been sitting on my bookshelf for 5 years untouched.
Now, you and I have had side conversations about Inchstones. When I first started off, I called it Wisdom in the Vibe. And when I started off with it, it was January 6th, and I started doing the corresponding proverb, corresponding day. I could tell you this, there was a little bit of apprehension in me. And I don't know if I told you about that, but there was apprehension because I was like, I don't want to be pushing God down somebody's throat. I ain't trying to do that, all the stuff. You were an encourager, though.
For me, that's exactly what I need. I need to, have, aspects of the Bible and of Scripture, really, broken down and, explained to me in plain language, because, I'm not well versed in Bible speak. So I thought it was awesome, because, it made it more digestible, easier to understand, easier to relate to. because they're put in terms that I better understand. So yeah, I thought it was awesome.
Well, I appreciate it. And I don't know if I told you, but I watched, like if you watch the chart, and I have the tendency not to move by charts or be dictated by them. I've never done it in business. I've never done it in because I don't know. I move with my heart. Like, hey, is this, I put it on my heart. God puts it on my heart. I pray about it. Ask him, if you want me to stop it, I'll stop it. And I kept asking him, do you want me to stop this? Do you want me to just go back to only interviewing? Now I kept that type of the show. So I still interview people, and I do you have to meet my friends, which this is the first time where we combined the two. But he just kept letting me know, this is what I want you to do. And what I noticed is when I did check the stats, the listenership, I saw a drop, and it caused me to question it, because I was thinking, should I stop, because that listenership was starting to dip. But what was amazing is I actually had more people reach out to me and say, this message hit me on this day when I needed it, than had ever happened when I was just only doing one show on the podcast. Any insight on that?
Well, I what I said, stands still. It was like, it was like, I thought it was awesome. It was complicated, things that I perceive as complicated. And I think I probably overdo it. And I think it's probably because, by making the Bible this very complicated thing, I give myself an excuse not to fuck with it,
Yeah.
So you kind of, you've allowed me to engage with it in a way that is more palatable and more easily understood. So I appreciate that.
What would your insight be about the listenership part? You know what I mean? Like because that's obviously a part of it, but I've continued to forge through. But do you have any insight on that side?
Man, I think that, you don't necessarily find an audience. I think that your audience finds you. And, I think you continue doing what you're doing because it's authentically you. And, I think that the audience will, come to fruition in the scale that you're looking for.
Well, I think
obviously there's going to be ways in which you're going to have to like maybe tweak here or there. I don't know of the science of it. But yeah, I definitely believe that, that you don't create an audience necessarily. I think that, an audience coalesces around something that they find interesting or is meaningful or they connect with or provides them with insights and is entertaining. So,
well, I think one of the biggest things that I've wanted people to know is that it doesn't just have to be a button-up shirt, suit, real tight. Having a relationship with the Lord can be, there's so many different facets. There's so many different facets to it, and you can just have fun. You can have great friends. You can have these experiences, but also too, going back to in point number 10, which was, it was actually point number 6, which is in verse 10, which was just being grounded in the Lord. Grounded in the Lord doesn't mean you have to be stiff. You could have a good time and you could laugh a lot. And, that's the part that I hope that gets across to every single person.
Yeah. And I think that's really a good way to look at it, for, for, people that are still in the caveman phase of their faith, like I am, I appreciate that for sure.
Well, as we finish up today, it's I had a Pastor Jason Graves, if you guys get a chance to be able to check him out, he's at Daybreak Church. He's not a social media promoter. He's not any of those things. He's just a guy who, speaks the word. And he was talking about it today. He said, the word is alive. It doesn't matter the person that delivers it. And I was like, whoa, that's coming from a pastor, right? And because most of the time what people do is they want to put their own spin and then have everyone just fall in love with them. And what I want to do through this whole entire thing, Willie, is like my parents would always say to me is just like, I don't know. And when I'd ask them a question, but I know someone who does, and they'd direct my eyes to him. And that was a big thing, and I want to make sure that happens throughout time is like, that's why I've reiterated like this wisdom is not like what I came up with. And how I can come up with, since you realize today is this episode is 491. And since January 6th, I've done 174 podcasts.
Damn. Yeah, that's you've been putting in that work, man.
And the reason why I don't struggle for content is because his stuff is evergreen. Like it's it's alive. The word is alive. And so that's a really, really cool thing. Ask me what shirt I'm wearing today.
What shirt are you wearing? Something Tennessee Titans.
It's an AFC Championship shirt from, this is 1999, I believe. Yeah, 1999.
Nice.
Tennessee Titans when we went to the Super Bowl. Still under protest.
Of course it is.
You know what? You know what we should try and do?
What's that?
Do you want would you be okay if I tried to call someone right now?
Do it.
Hold on for a second. Let's see if we can get
Hey, and it's not like if I said no, you wouldn't still just call.
Exactly.
Not even, So just go ahead.
Okay. Let me try it. Let me try this. This is going to be awesome. Let me see if I can get it. Because this, right as we're talking, let me see here. Hold on. Yes. Let's see. I think he might be at church, but let's see if we could get him. I think he's probably going to be at church. Willie. He wasn't able to answer, but let me try one more. Hold on for a second. Let me try one more, and we'll see if we can get him. Sundays are tough too, because most people are spending time with their family, which I should be also. Hey, Willie, you there?
Yep.
I couldn't get either of them. I tried to call Kevin Dyson because I wanted to get him. I wanted you to meet him, but I'll get you to meet him soon.
All good, my man.
But I am wearing a Tennessee Titans shirt. Do you know their record in the preseason?
1-0.
2-0.
2-0.
2-0.
Yeah. 2-0 in meaningless games.
Yeah. Would you say that that's a path to the Super Bowl?
Sure. Everyone is going to the Super Bowl right now. When the season starts and everyone is 0-0, hope is there. Hope is deep.
Hey, see, that's what let's see. Hold on. It was verse 14, speak, embody, foster, and protect hope. That's what I'm trying to do in NFL.
Hey, man, but you take it to a whole other level that borders on fanaticism.
Well, I have this hope and this belief, man. I have faith.
There you go, man.
I have faith.
I appreciate your unshakable faith.
I'm surrounded by Oilers stuff right now. I even got the red Oilers hat. I'm showing it right now, which is great. So Man, I want to thank you, dude. Hopefully you have a phenomenal day and spend time with the kids.
Hey, same to you, my man. Thanks.
Love.
And appreciate you, ambushing me, man.
I love it, dude. Now you're shell shocked, dude. With the, it's funny because every time I call you, you're like, dude, am I on the podcast?
Yeah. Like when your name pops up, I'm like,
I don't want that to happen, man.
I was like, whoa.
Oh, am I in my draws? Should I answer?
Yeah, do I need to get dressed? Like, what's going on? What does this mean? What does this mean to me right now?
Well, see, because you signed on to be my friend, you have to answer the phone. So, that's the
you got a point.
Thing.
Hey, it goes both ways, man.
Yep.
It's 360.
Yes. Well,
all the way around.
Well, I love you, man. You're amazing.
Love you too, my man.
Okay. Enjoy the day.
Have a great day.
You got it. All right.
Peace.
Bye-bye. So the first episode of You Have to Meet My Friends and Inchstones together. And what I want to leave you with is these two questions. Number one is going to be when you read this, or when you think of this list, right? Who comes to mind? And so I'll hit you with the list again quickly. Think of others. Your motives are more important than your actions. True friendship refreshes and is evergreen. You speak life and encourage people. You're ready to roll up your sleeves and do the dirty work. You're grounded in the Lord. Quick to question or quick to listen, slow to speak. You speak, embody, foster, protect, hope, exercise discernment, honors family and relationships. Generosity is prevalent in their life and walks with you through everything without judgment. Who's the first person you think of? When I list that off, who's the very first person that you think of? I want you to write it down and then call them and speak life to them. Tell them how amazing they are and why you think specifically they are so incredible as a friend to you. And then the last question that I'll leave you with is what area can you work on to be named by someone else as an example of the list that I just gave. And I told you with mine, I've got to listen more. I've got to listen better. I got to listen more. I got to listen until they're completely done. And I just want to tell you, every single one of you, thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for tuning in. Podcast has been, I think for me, has been one of the greatest experiences and projects that I've ever done in my life. Click the link and buy the book. Grab the book. You could grab it for if you're doing leadership training, anything like that. And in the event that your company or your organization brings in keynote speakers, bring me in, talk about the vibe. Talk about the vibe of your company, that it's not the energy that you bring into the room, leaders. It's not the energy that you ever bring in. It's the way in which people feel about it, whether it be your leadership, your culture, or your systems. So hopefully you have a phenomenal day. I love you a bunch. Share it with a friend. And my name is Kelly Cardenas, and I'm officially off the hot seat. Peace, love, and soul.
Nothing more on my mind. I got to shine, so every day I grind. Work in the morning, work in the evening. We's achieving, cause we believing. It's for certain, we put the work in. We ain't stopped just because it's hurting. Right before your eyes, so it's coming to no surprise. The takeover is televised. Over and over